All right, this next guy joined Supernatural this season as the half angel, half human you've come to love, Alexander Calvert. All right, we're going to see how far I get on this next one. His Disney princess hair gives him extra padding. Jared Padalecki. All right, all he needs in life is bullets, bacon, and booze. Jensen Ackles. Next up, we have the most recent person to cheat death, and he's a real trench coat enthusiast, Misha Collins. One of the men behind it all, executive producer Andrew Dabb. And last but not least, a man whose name you might recognize, executive producer Robert Singer. All right. Okay, you all might realize that Mark Pellegrino is not on this stage. Someone had to keep shooting the show. He's holding the fort down. He sends his love. All right, Scooby Natural. It just happened. Who just watched it for the first time? All right, what are reactions? Was it what you expected?
I didn't see anybody in the audience raise their hands when she said, who saw this for the first time?
Oh, yeah.
Which means you're all suspect.
What do we think?
I mean, I think that we've all been sort of cognizant of the fact that Supernatural was snubbed for the Oscars. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like we're getting our comeuppance right now.
Sure.
Yeah. By being on the same stage?
There was a lot of, I think there was a lot of nerding out for me. That was really awesome.
Should we just do that for an hour? How awesome was that?
How awesome. I'm slow on the uptake. I think I'm still sort of processing. Sort of surreal. I mean, not sort of. Very surreal. How cool. Very excited.
In terms of making that episode, were you in the booth alone? Were the three of you together? Did you meet any of the other people?
We, the three of us got in the booth together, which there was a lot of cameras, so I assume you will see that on the extra special features. And it was something that I don't think I've never done. I've done voiceover work before, but it has always been solo. So to have the other guys there, we could work off that energy, and it was something that was pretty unique. I've never experienced it, and I think you could probably tell because the excitement and the speed in which we were speaking was so different than normal speak because we were so excited about it. It was, and we did that over a year ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it? So we recorded it all about a year ago, and that's how long it takes to put one of those episodes together. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think we were all kind of giddy from the moment we read the script.
Giddy, yeah.
It was just like, are you kidding me? This is so brilliant. It's so brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're all super excited.
What was the genesis of the idea? What did you guys? Where did that come from?
Sure. So one of the writers of the show, Jeremy Adams, who I've known for a long time and has written a lot for Warner Bros. Animation, calls me probably November 2016. He's like, has anybody ever thought about doing a Supernatural Scooby-Doo crossover? I was like, why hasn't anybody thought of that? Because the answer is no.
So obvious.
So obvious. We had talked in previous years, like Eric Kripke at Edland. I remember being in a room with them. They're like, could we put an animated element in it? Could we do like a Roger Rabbit thing? The animation's really hard to do, and obviously, as these guys just said, it takes a lot of time.
And I kept saying no.
And Bob was like, never. I'll never direct that episode, I'll tell you that much. But, you know, we were like, that's a really great idea. Warner Brothers Animation, to their great credit, was always behind it. Warner Brothers Television was up behind it. And then we got very fortunate, and last year we got our pickup very early in January. So we were able to start almost immediately and get the script written and get these guys recorded. We saw an animatic in April. They started animating in July, and I think we saw final animation in January.
Oh my gosh. Did you have any major changes?
No. Those guys know what they're doing. Like, those guys know what they're doing. You know what I mean? They're professionals and they're awesome, and everything we gave them, they made a lot better and a lot gorier.
Sure.
You know, you write sees a dead body, and now you got somebody hanging with like a stump, and it's, you know, it's awesome.
Well, Bob, I feel like you told me you all had to basically just cut stuff because there was so much good stuff, and that was kind of the only change.
Yeah, I mean, in the cutting room, it's interesting because you get the you get the animation, but you can't, like you do when you shoot film, you can't go, you know, we should cut to a close-up here because what they give you, that's what you have. So it was heads and tails. There's a whole scene that we cut out for length that I think you're probably able to see on the DVD extras.
Was it the restaurant scene?
Yes, it was the.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was animated? Because I was wondering.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they did it, and it was very cute, but it didn't really.
And it was
What is this restaurant?
It was a Misha scene, and we figured that was losable. So, you know.
Disposable.
We from the chaff. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the way it goes.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Was it just?
Your shot of getting out of this building alive tonight is...
It's gone way down now.
Was it just Castiel in that scene?
Castiel and
Scooby, Shaggy.
Shaggy is a waiter, I think.
Yes, they play waiters at a French restaurant who unfortunately serve the phantom salt, and that is not good for ghosts.
Oh, that's fun. Hopefully we get to see that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Misha. Okay, I want to talk also just generally about season 13. Obviously, the other kind of big thing that you all have done is bring in alternate realities, other worlds, all these things. What was the genesis of the idea for another world? Was there like specific inspiration for that?
Yeah, it was something that Brad and Eugenie pitched last season as something to kind of explore. And then, yes.
No big deal.
And then so the Wayward Sisters pilot, which we did this year, we actually wrote a version of it last year. And we stole that idea for Wayward Sisters. And then when that did not go forward, we stole it back for Supernatural. And that ended up being Apocalypse World and everything that you've seen this year.
Sure. So maybe I should throw it to Brad and Eugenie. Where did that idea come from?
Well, it was something we hadn't really seen the show do before, and the more we talked about it, about having an alternate version of this world, I mean, it itself became its own monster. And so that was really exciting to us, for them to put our characters into a completely different world with no set of reality that was even remotely familiar to them, and keep everybody off balance.
We were playing with the idea of having our hunters be the hunted, and as Brad said, just turning the world upside down, and all kinds of evil and good and realities being morphed into something we'd never seen before. So that was just the genesis of it, which is a way a lot of our stories start, you know, with someone just comes in and says, what if? And then someone says, well, that's a crazy idea. And someone says, no, I think it's a really good idea. And then it just turns into a season.
And then the idea started growing about having doppelgangers in this other world of people that we are familiar with from the show, have their doubles in this opposite world who knew nothing about, obviously, the characters on Earth. So it just started spiraling wildly out of control.
And now it's on television.
It is.
Well, I am so interested. You mentioned the doppelgangers. In terms of writing these characters, they're characters we do know, but they're also not. It's a very different version of a character. What are the conversations in the writer's room of like, oh, it's Kevin, so we got to make him like this, but wait, it's not our Kevin. Like, how do you guys find that balance as writers?
I think the idea is they're still the same people. They just haven't been through the same experiences. The only difference, as we've stated on the show, between Apocalypse World and our world is this is the world Sam and Dean were never born into. So this is what the world looks like if Sam and Dean aren't born. But Bobby's still Bobby and Kevin's still Kevin. They haven't met our guys, but they're still the same people. So you want to, treat them with the respect you would show the same people.
Sure. I thought something was going to happen. Jared?
A question just occurred to me that I don't know if I'm allowed to ask of y'all.
Ask it.
Yes, you can go to the restroom.
Well, you're just amongst friends. So
May I use the bathroom? Is there an Apocalypse World Sam Winchester?
No. We just said, literally just said that these are the worlds that the brothers were not born into. Like playback doesn't have to go back more than 15 seconds.
I couldn't hear it. I was like, they're saying something. I can't.
Yeah, no, there's no Winchesters in these alternate worlds. So wait, I have a question.
Is there an Apocalypse World? Okay, fine. I accept.
Where are we?
Is there an Apocalypse World Dean Winchester?
No.
Obviously not. There's monsters.
That's right.
interestingly enough, Jared plays the smart one.
Yeah.
Plays. Pretends in the animated side.
Well, outside of Apocalypse World, we've seen the bad place. We kind of got a glimpse that there are obviously many other places just in the universe. Is that something that you all would like to explore, like other alternate realities? Good answer.
She's in.
This is all part of our plan to morph this show slowly into sliders. So, yes. No, I think we've played a lot on Apocalypse World. I don't know that we're going to be going to a new alternate reality every week, but if there are more stories to tell, we go where the stories are.
Sure. I feel like there has to be like an uplifting alternate reality where like...
No. Not on this show.
No, not on this show.
No, nothing but bad places. I want to touch on something you guys introduced this season, which was the Big Empty, which Misha...
Wow.
All right.
The empty.
That was the
Misha, will you tell your wife to quiet down?
But Misha, it led to you playing opposite you, one of you with an accent.
Yep. You know what? I have to say,
Yeah,
it was
what
nice
was
to
that accent?
finally be working in a scene with a professional. Someone who just shows up, knowing their lines,
Where was that?
not fondling you below the waist.
Where was that professional from? I couldn't place it.
He was from the mid-Atlantic. He was born on an oil rig in the mid-Atlantic.
I thought that.
Yeah.
I thought so. I couldn't
It's
place
an
it.
unusual accent. It's a dialect we're not familiar
When we first saw dahlias of Misha being this alternate Misha, Andrew and I kind of looked at each other and go, what the hell is that?
Yeah. Yeah. But it grows on you.
I nailed it. That's what I was
Yeah.
going for.
I like the
But
idea.
Bob, to be fair, that's your reaction to most dailies that you see. That's just your reaction.
I love the idea that Misha got a script and it's just like normal guy and he just like went ham on it. What was the process of shooting that scene though? I mean, obviously it took a lot of time.
It actually, that was the empty was one day really of shooting, but it was an intense day, and it was kind of interesting because I brought my wife to set that day, to actually with a purpose, and the purpose was to show her, because we've been working on these projects together, and the purpose was to show her like this is what a well-oiled machine looks like. Like everybody knows what their job is. Everybody knows the equipment they're working with. And it was a complete and utter cluster F. Everybody was sort of powwowing after each take, like, how does this work? And then,
what is this accent he's doing?
What is that? His accent is killing us. And then the director kept being like, you know what? I think Misha, you know what? We'll try another one, but switch characters. And so I was going back and forth. It felt like it was really kind of an experiment, and I think we sort of figured it out. The accent never found its way, but yeah, it was an interesting day on the set and kind of unique. Yeah. And now here we are at the Oscars.
How many bloopers are there of Castiel with an accent?
None. 0.
Really?
No bloopers.
I
will not sign off on those bloopers.
Well, another. Oh, no.
It's gone. No, it's gone. To be perfectly honest, I actually had electroshock therapy to take that out of my head.
We all did.
I can't do it anymore. I'm sorry.
Is the Big Empty a concept or a place that we want to visit again? Was that kind of a one and done situation?
We might visit it next year.
Okay.
We're talking about it.
Sure.
Next year.
Not on this show.
No. We're all going to Charmed, guys. It's going to be great.
Well, another new element, it's a character, not an element, this year is obviously Alexander as Jack. What has this experience, was it what you expected?
In one word, traumatizing. No, it's been great. Yeah, getting to work with these. He doesn't believe me. That's fine. I like going to work, minus some of the other extra stuff.
Well, to be fair, you were basically naked for the first 3 episodes.
I really was. Yeah.
I mean, that's traumatizing for all of us.
Yeah, fair. Showing up on set was definitely nerve-wracking with no wardrobe. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'll just stand in front of them. Hopefully they don't laugh or anything, No, it's been good.
That's probably pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Alexander. I'm naked.
Yeah. Go sit in that corner, please. Great.
And it's there's not a lot of nudity on Supernatural, so you should feel special.
Yeah.
I guess I do now, yeah.
But for Andrew and Bob, in terms of casting Jack, what was it about Alexander that stood out?
The naked
All right. Let's not.
Would you like to tell them?
Would you like to rephrase the question?
Not really.
Don't know how to go about.
What was it about his acting ability?
Oh.
There you go.
We saw a lot of people for this part. Knew it was going to be a season long and maybe more part. I think when we saw Alex's audition, at least internally, we said that's the guy. When you cast these things, the network certainly has their input. But I think we were, I think Andrew and I were, we sort of put our foot down as much as we could, and we said, this is the kid, and he hasn't disappointed once. And just so you know, as good as he is in the part, every time he has a scene with Jared, he has to put up with so much crap.
It's been the ultimate
which is good for Misha, because Misha isn't the butt of it. But he hangs in there like grim death. So if you love his acting, it's even better than you think.
These are the takes they can use.
I still love the Misha found a friend.
We could write a book together. It would be acting under duress.
Yes. It's called, what do you call it? Obstacle acting?
Obstacle acting.
Yeah. Just trying to navigate your way.
Obstacle course.
True story. One of our directors, Nina, who we love and adore, was shooting Alex's close-up, and
in Tombstone. Yeah.
And we'll call it light hazing. Got so bad
That's
that
what my lawyer's calling it too.
It got so bad that she said, "All right, forget it." He couldn't get through a take because we wouldn't let him, and so she said, "All right, forget it. Swing the cameras up to the guys, get their close-ups, and shoot them out and get them off my set." So that we can go back and shoot Alex's close-up without them here.
Well, I love Alex's reaction because he had done like 1 or 2 or 3 takes, and he's like, "That's it.
She didn't tell him what the plan was. She was like, "All right, we're done with that. Let's go up to the boys."
And he's like, "I was laughing through every take," and we're like,
"There's not a good take. There's nothing they can use."
And so they move on to us and film us out, and Alex is like, "My God, I didn't even really get a close-up because they were messing with me." And so we finish our close-ups, and it's like, "Okay, it's a wrap on Jensen and Jared. Okay, put the cameras back on Alex now." And he's like, "Oh, I do get a close-up. They're just in the voice." Only Misha and Alex have ever kicked us off our own set. Bravo.
When you guys are casting a character like this that you know is going to be like so close to Sam and Dean, is there any sort of like chemistry read, or is it just like, go meet
Good
Jared?
luck.
It's called the first episode.
Yeah.
Rehearsal.
So you just throw them in there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that Alex, just to be serious, that Alex has is that he's a complicated character who's half human with the potential for good, and half Lucifer, who is sort of the definitive bad. And so when you see him on screen, at least in the audition he had, and he's only lived up to that, a real dangerous quality, and you don't know which way he's going to go. There's a striving for good, there's a striving for redemption, and a lot of the characters try to find their own personal redemption through him. And, you know, none of that is articulated in language, but you can just see it sort of play across his face, that he is torn between two sides of the human condition, you know, nature versus nurture, and who will he emerge as? And he can do that without saying a lot of words. And that, I think, was a real intangible that no one could plan on asking for in an audition, but he just delivered.
He showed up. Alex showed up in the last episode last season, and really there was one shot of him. And I was directing the episode, and it was just kind of a push-in onto his face, and he was sort of dimly lit. And, take one. The camera moved in, and I just saw that face and what he was doing, not saying a word. And I remember thinking to myself, this is so going to work next year, you know?
Thank God.
Thank Chuck.
Thank Chuck, yeah. Shout out Chuck.
All right.
Thank Grandpa, I guess, for you.
I got a lot of complicated family history at this point.
Have you done your 23andMe for Jack yet?
It's rough. Also, a lot of people theorizing that something happened between my mom and Misha is like some serious speculation.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
I can't.
Don't.
I can't.
So
that's a guilty look. Yeah, sorry.
we're going to keep moving. talk about Sam because apparently the fandom seems very concerned about Sam. If I'm like, hey, what do you guys want to know? It's like, is Sam okay? What's happening with Sam? Is Sam okay? What's happening with Sam?
Sam is okay. I know the last time we saw Sam, he and his brother had sort of had a conversation about, and I love what the writers, I had a question earlier today about, hey, you know, y'all are probably the only actors on a 13-season show and the only actors who haven't become producers after 10 years. Why not? And I was like, you know what? I think Jensen and I both, it's a mutual, I wouldn't want to do what these four folks and the rest of our writers and producers do. I would not be good at it. I think it's a mutual respect. I know that they have the story in their hands, and I'm confident that they're going to do an amazing job, and I hope that they are confident that I'll be able to put the words on the page, onto the camera. That having been said, what they do with my character, it feels right up my alley. It feels right up Jared's alley. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. I love vacillating between, hey, I think I'm doing a good job. I know I'm trying my best. I know we're getting a lot of wins, but focusing on the losses instead. And I think Sam has a problem where he focuses on his failures. You know, if he saves 1 million people but fails at saving 3, he's going to focus on the 3. And the writers and producers have seen that works for the character, and it's kind of been part of the archetype all along. I mean, it's the same as Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter. It's the Joseph Campbell mythology. And to have the protagonist who kind of more beats himself down as opposed to just fully realizing his potential. So that having been said, Sam's fine, and I think he just is at a place with his brother where he bounces stuff off him and vice versa. So I'm excited to keep exploring it. And we see Sam kind of go to the nth degree this season and really give it all he's got to try and make the world a better place. And for me, that's exciting.
All right. When we started the season, Dean was kind of, had no faith, was a little bit down. Sam was kind of keeping him up. Are we in a bit of a role reversal at this point in the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's, and that I think is one of the things that this show does very well is this kind of ever-evolving motivation between the two characters. You know, I mean, go back all the way to season 1 when Dean was kind of the driving force of wanting to find Dad, and Sam being reluctant and not wanting to get into the life, and then it switches in season 2 where, you know, now Dad's gone and Dean's kind of given up and Sam's like motivated now and he wants to find him. So that's been a you know, from the Supernatural playbook since the beginning, and I think we continue to do that because it works. But yes, there has, you know, Dean was certainly out of sorts in the beginning. There was a lot of loss in his life, and he was just, you know, he was at a loss, and he didn't quite know which road to take and how to get there and what to do when he got there. And so, luckily, he's not going it alone, and he has his brother to help pick him up when he's down. And as the season progresses and you know they start getting wins, then he starts to get his confidence back, he starts to get his motivation back, and he starts to get you know, kind of excited about what the game plan is. And as we get close to the end of the season here, we'll see Dean kind of step up in a big way.